much. When we talk about occupational wellness, there is a lot of different perspectives that we can bring in. And as one of them just mentioned, when you love what you do, I think it was mentioned by more than one person. When you love what you do, somehow, if whatever you do, you start loving. So in some respects, that is exactly the story of Viktor Frankl. Have you heard of Dr. Viktor Frankl, or how many of you have come across his book, Man's Search for Meaning? Because it's an amazing book. In case you have not come across it, I highly recommend you get a copy of it. It may be available in a PDF format, or you can get it because it has sold over tens of millions of copies, and it is one of the top books in there. Especially for occupational wellness. Why I think of Dr. Viktor Frankl is that he was a psychiatrist and a neurologist who got so passionate about meaning that even when he was in high school, he got in touch with what you call Freud, who used to be from Vienna, where Dr. Viktor Frankl was also from. And he connected with Freud and actually sent out some of his writings and papers. So while he was in high school, his first paper was published in Psychological Review, and then next paper got published just before he graduated. He worked with Adler, he worked with Freud, and then he created his own methodology about need for meaning. And he was actually put in concentration camp. His parents and his wife, whom he got married just a few months ago, they were all gassed and they were all killed. And he was asked to serve other patients in 3 different camps over a period of time. And he was wondering, he's a doctor, he's a researcher, doing research on meaning, but he was put into menial situation where he was supposed to help the other concentration camp prisoners to live so that the camp guards can get more work out of those people. But one day he realized whatever he was talking about meaning is applicable to himself. So he realized that if he can work with the prisoners to find meaning in whatever they are doing, their life becomes a lot better. And that resulted in a large amount of work. He wrote over 20, 30 books, and he passed away only in 1997. I had a chance to listen to him once or twice. I recommend you look at it in case you're looking at some of this. Instead of giving a talk, I thought I will do a mini workshop with you. So as so mentioned, I hope you have paper and pencil with you, or a pens, or you can do it on a digital one, but it is easier to do it in an old-fashioned way. So I'm going to give you specific words. Rate first, there will be 2 kinds of ratings that you will do. First, you rate on how important these are for you. Rate from 0 to 10. Don't think too much about it. Whatever number that comes to you from 0 to 10, just put them. If you didn't think about them, they don't even mean anything to you, or this is the first time you are hearing, put 0. And of course, this is something you are constantly working on, you put 10. All right. So let us start with it. Purpose. Passion, 0 to 10. Meaning. Gratitude. How many of you think gratitude is extremely important for your occupational wellness and overall wellness? Challenge. How many are you, especially with the COVID situation and everything that is going on, how many of you are challenged and feel overwhelmed? And how important do you think challenge is for your life? Optimism. Some people say, I speak it as it is and I tell the truth. I don't care how it affects you, but because this is the truth. Or you create an optimistic, positive way of looking at things. Again, positivity. This is slightly different from optimism. We'll talk more about it as we need. Energy. How important is energy for you? So once you rated them for whatever numbers that you have put in, I'd like you to relook at them. How do you bring them to your work? So do you think about purpose at work? Why you are working? What you are working towards? If that is so, from 0 to 10, rate yourself. How passionate are you in doing the work that you are doing? Rate yourself. How much of meaning you find in doing the tasks that you do day after day after day in your work? Rate yourself 0 to 10. Do you feel the gratitude in doing the work that you do and in working with the people that you work with? Rate again 0 to 10. How much of challenge do you feel in your work, and how grateful are you for the challenges that are helping you to learn new skills and new capabilities? Rate yourself. How optimistic are you at your work that your career and your life, your work is going to get better and better? When you deal with difficult situations at work, are you positive, hopeful, or are you a person cynical? Are you a person difficult to be with for other people when you are going through challenging situations? And finally, how much of energy do you have working day after day after day? Rate yourself from 0 to 10. Now look at where you are and see the gaps that you have when you say these are important for you, and how much are you bringing it to your work. So if before even going too much farther, I would say if there is a big gap between how you say they are important and how they show up at your work, then first thing you may want to do is bridge the gap. See what activities you can do to increase these 9 things in your work. Every day, I have a feeling your occupational wellness will jump by minimum 20% in the next few days. Let's do a little bit more. There is a Japanese concept called ikigai, which connects with what some of the previous speakers, Sachin, Aishwarya, and Urvi just mentioned about. At some level, you need to bring a balance. And you need to look at whatever you have as your vocation and avocation, your profession, and some of them you need to really look at. You need to really think about and say, how do you bring what you love into the world of your work through your passion and mission? How do you take your talents and skills that you are very good at and bring them to your profession? Like, let us say, let me give you an example. My daughter wanted to be a journalist. And when she went to UC Berkeley, she decided that journalism professors and the TAs, teaching assistants, were not really helpful. So she decided she will do sociology and political science at as part of her majors. And then when she got out, she wanted to do a lot of nonprofit work. And while she was working, she was so passionate about camping and hiking and rock climbing and some other things. Somebody in a party overheard her talking to another friend who was really stressed out to go outdoors and spend some camping and weekends with the nature. And he came and actually kind of recruited her for the outdoorsy company. And from there, she looked at what she can do, because her degree is liberal arts and she was into sociology and political science, what she can do in a company like that. But she found her journalism passion and marketing that was needed, and documentation and writing various things, writing stories, creating a marketing, related type of stuff, messages, she was very good at. And then she said she found out she could be really well paid for her organizing mind. So she connected what she loves with what the world needs. And now she's making probably 2 times more than what a journalist she could have made for her stage in life. And so like that, you can figure out a way to connect the dots. Now, let's do another exercise. This is called a lifeline exercise. Probably many of you are familiar with it. I'm going to do a version which several times is being done in Stanford Business School and many of the business schools which I had an opportunity to teach. So what I want you to do is, if you have 2-color pens or pencil and a pen, choose 2 things that will be helpful for you. And, one color, you represent it for your personal life. Another, you represent it for your work life. And the exercise is about reflecting on your life as far as you can remember. Obviously, you probably started working later, like maybe in your late teens or 20s, but your life, however much you remember, some of the words I said, passion, purpose, meaning, gratitude, think about some of those. And also, you may talk about, the level of satisfaction you had with your life, level of fulfillment you experience with your work. So some of those you do. So you can, you don't have to go 0 to 10. You can make the fulfillment as high as you want or as low as you want. So what I want you to do it is, we'll do this exercise very quickly, do it in about 5 minutes. But again, these exercises are about bringing your subconscious and unconscious also into play. So don't overthink this exercise. So once you do it, we'll do some questions. So this is how it looks. So what is the upside? You put it on the top. What is downside in your life? What are the negative things, the negative fulfillment, negative satisfaction, or where you feel you had really bad times, you put them down. What I recommend is, think about at various times, put the dots up or down, depending on what you feel at this moment about them. And then afterwards, you can connect the dots if you like. Okay. So if you are older than 70, I know there are some people who are older than 70. You may want to extend this to whatever is your age. And some of you are probably 20, 30, 40. You may elongate it. Instead of doing every 10 years, you could do it only for every 5 years. So take a couple of minutes and draw this lifeline. Right. So first, for personal life, so whatever you consider as a whole life, you draw them. Oh, I see. Oh, when I was 7 years old, my sister was born. And it was the first memory I have. And there was so much of joy because I had a brother after me. And to have a sister, it was fun to play with her. So that was a high point in my life. Then I think about it and say, I failed an exam at age 11. So that was a low point in my life. So like that, you think about where you had a satisfaction, fulfillment, high points and low points, mark them up. All right. So once you do that, you can do the same thing for work. When you started work, what kind of passion, purpose, meaning you felt in your first job? What happened? How did you change? Did you change your career? Like Dr. Sachin Deshmukh said, he was a physician in India, and then he became yoga and meditation expert. I know how wonderful his yoga is because Dinesh Chandra sends the messages on every day for me. I really love the work that Dr. Sachin Deshmukh does. And also similarly, I'm part of Yoga Bharati and Samskrita Bharati, and I love the kind of volunteering and kind of work that they do, and how much of joy so many hundreds of thousands of people are experiencing when people do their yoga, do their meditation, do their reflections, do their walks, some of them. All right. Now, I hope you completed this. Let's look at one part. What I want to do in this is, let me ask you some questions in this before I go to the next exercise. When you look at it, are the feelings that you are having, are they the same which you had when you actually experienced them? Or did the feelings change? Look at it and see whether, did you have the same level of fulfillment and satisfaction at that time as you are experiencing now, or are they different? If so, why so? Or were there any surprises? Maybe you lost a job, maybe you lost somebody in your life, or maybe you went through divorce, maybe there is a death of a person near and dear. How did you feel about those situations at that time, and how do you feel about them? On a separate sheet of paper, flip the page, on another paper, write down answers to some of these questions, okay? This will be very helpful to you as you go forward at the end of the day. What are 5 things you value the most in life right now? When I say that you value the most, you pay the most amount of, you are not negotiating like our Indian attitude to look at it and say, can I get a deal on that? You are not trying to do it. You are willing to pay full price for it, or you are willing to sacrifice what you have, or you are willing to fight for it. What are 5 things you value the most in your life? Because this is the most important, and this is like foundation for everything. Write those down, like in about 30 seconds. If you're done, write down 3 most important goals in your life right now. Again, in 30 seconds or less. What are your 3 important goals right now? Just some phrases, just some things, put that in. Next, what would you do if you won $1 million in lottery tomorrow? By the way, for Silicon Valley people, $1 million don't mean very much, because you can't even buy a house here. Make it $10 million. What would you do if you won $10 million in lottery tomorrow? By the way, what I'm asking you is, what would you do first as soon as you came to know you won $10 million? What will be the first step, second step, and third step? I'm asking you to write it in sequence. Okay. What will you do first when you hear you won the lottery? What will you do second? What will you do third? All right. Question number 4. What would you do with your life if you were to have no mental, physical, or resource limitations of any kind? What will be your ambition in life? What would you do if you have no limitations of any kind? No mental, no physical, no resources like money or time or people. You can get anything you want. What would you do with your life? If you can write an answer, if you are able to crystallize your thoughts about your ambition, chances are you are capable of achieving it. But of course, you will have to have the persistence, intensity, and willingness to put in the hard work. Like we have Naren, Bakshi and other people here, they can tell you how hard it is to build a startup. They have built it, their children built it, and now their grandchildren are trying to do for-profit, non-profit service activities, anything you want to do. How much of time and energy and passion you are going to put into that? Next one. If you can live with perfect health, for 6 months, and on the 180th day, don't talk to me about 30 days, 31 days. So forgive me. I'm just saying I'm taking every month to have only 30 days here. You're going to die on 180th day. What would you do between now and then? This is not a 30-second. Take a minute. Write down just about 3 to 5 things that are very important to you that you will do if you know for sure you will die in 6 months. What are the most important things to you that you want to do before you die? Write them quickly. Write them as phrases. You don't need to write the full sentences. Next, what is it that you always wanted to do with your life, but you held back from doing based on what other people said or you think other people might say? Especially the Indian community can be very, prescriptive. If I'm very negative, I'll say we can be very judgmental as parents or as community elders. Sometimes we have very strong opinions on what is dharma, what is not dharma, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing. And of course, why is that? Because our parents did that to us and we turned out just fine. And we say the same thing to our children. But some of these hurt people. Some of these hold back people. Like that, what have you been holding back? What is it that you want to do if you have total freedom to do whatever you could do? You may think I'm not doing it because I'm afraid to fail, but actually you have inculcated it over a period of time. Next question. What type of activity gives you the greatest feeling of importance, self-esteem, and self-satisfaction? In other words, you feel great about engaging in this kind of activity. So like a service activity, it could be, work activity, it could be, or a particular role in your work that you like to do that gives you the greatest part of satisfaction. For example, if you are a doctor, you might look at it and say, talking to patients is the most important, not the surgery, even though I'm a surgeon, but actually talking to patients and then giving them the confidence and giving them the strength to continue doing before and after. Yes, as a surgeon, I do great surgeries and I'm good, but I enjoy and I feel the greatest feeling of satisfaction in talking to people, preparing them for surgery and preparing for life. Like that, what is the key area of excellence for you? Okay, last question. It has A and B parts. You received only one wish from genie. With 7.7 billion people, genie cannot give 3 wishes to everybody. So it has decided it will only give you one. It says you could achieve anything, you could reach anything you want. What is one great thing you dare to dream? What is one thing you dare to dream if you were to know that you will succeed? There is no way you will fail. Beyond the shadow of doubt, genie will make it happen for you. What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to reach? Okay, write it down. And after that, genie says, because genie is not God, right? Genie has its own ulterior motives. It says, what are you willing to sacrifice to get that wish? That means you already have it, you already value it, but you need to sacrifice what you have to get what you want. How badly do you want this wish, greatest thing that you are daring to dream, that you are willing to give up what you have? And what are you willing to give up? All right. So look at some of those. When you wrote those answers, look through the answers, and then we can talk more about it. I can do another session some other time if you like, some of the frameworks and why I'm putting together. But for now, I'm going to stop my workshop or a mini workshop